So, hi there everybody and welcome to our final briefing para sa mga English majors natin sa MET Review Center. Now, my dear friends, first and foremost, sana po ay nasa magandang kalagayan kayo ngayon at sana ay handa na tayo na kumuha ng exam sa Sunday. Now, para saan ba ang ating final briefing tonight? Well, simple lang mga kaibigan. I think para sa mga MET students ko, I sent you another set of exam. At yun ang ating sasagutan tonight. Pero mga reminders muna mga kaibigan, ano nga ba ang kailangang i-expect natin sa Sunday? Well, number one, unfortunately, we have to expect that our exam will be very, very challenging. At tingin ko, based on my experience, at tingin ko kahit you would ask your ates and kuyas ng English majors na kumuha ng exam na, I think sasabihin nila sa inyo na talagang mahirap ang ating test. So, expect natin yan mga kaibigan na talagang mahihirapan tayo sa Sunday. Now, I know medyo negative ang simula natin, pero I think we have to be honest about it, 'di ba? Para mas mapaghandaan natin ito physically and mentally. O, ayan. Now, also for my MET students, ilabas nyo na ang copies nyo ng exam na pinadala namin sa inyo, I think, 2 weeks ago. So tara, let's answer these questions. So let me share my screen. By the way, mga kaibigan, these are all of my answers. Pero as I have told my Met English majors before, please do not take my word for it. What do I mean by that? Well, let me clear things up. Now, si Mr. Padilla, your facilitator tonight, I have done my research. It means talagang ito ay pinag-aralan ko. Yun nga lang mga kaibigan, we can never deny that nobody has the monopoly of knowledge. Kaya I suggest, my dear friends, after this particular session, please take the time to confirm kung tama nga ba ang mga sagot ni Mr. Padilla. Again, I don't claim the monopoly of knowledge. Kaya I suggest, mga kaibigan, please still do your research. Ang tawag doon, due diligence. So yun po ang request ko sa inyo mga kaibigan. After our session tonight, please do your research pa din to make it sure, to make it certain, mga kaibigan, na tama ang ating mga sagot. So do not take my word for it. Still, you need to do your own research. Okay ba dyan? Okay, let's now begin. Now, number one, ito medyo madali kasi pronouns lang ito. It is raining cats and dogs, Sophia. May I borrow blank umbrella? I left blank inside the car. So what are the options? Letter A, we have your and mine. B, yours and my. C, your and then mine. And then D, your and my. My dear friends, ito ay napakadali lang. Pero ano nga bang sagot nyo dito? Well, the correct answer is letter A. It is raining cats and dogs, Sophia. May I borrow your umbrella? I left mine inside the car. So medyo basic yan, ha? Now, how about number two? In a classroom setting, which of the following kinds of listening most students use? Is it A, to escape, B, to be informed, C, to be inspired, or D, to enjoy? Now, my dear friends, I think our clue here is yung classroom setting. At pag nasa classroom tayo, tayo ay tinuturuan ng ating mga teachers at tayo kailangan makinig. Di ba? Makinig para saan? Para ba mag-enjoy? Siguro pwede, pero yung pinaka main purpose natin is not really to enjoy, not even to be inspired or to escape, but to be informed. So letter B is the correct answer in number two. Now, how about number three? Graphic organizers aid in faster comprehension of ideas. If a writer wants to show how values change over a period of time, what will be the best graphic organizer? Is it A, bar graph, B, line graph, C, pie chart, or D, timeline? Now mga kaibigan, ano ba ang mga dapat nating i-focus dito? Well, number one, ang sabi dyan, ang kailangan nating malaman ay how values change over a period of time. Kung papaano nagbabago ang mga values through time. So mga kaibigan, ito ba ay timeline? Hindi, kasi yung time lang talaga yon. Ang pie chart, ginagamit niyan sa mga budgeting. So top two choices would have to be a bar graph or a line graph. Pero my dear friends, for number three, the best answer is, of course, a line graph. So letter B. Okay? Now number four, in here, ito ay subject verb agreement, I guess. The president blank before the businessman at the moment, mga kaibigan. Ito ba ay was meeting, meets, is meeting, or will be meeting? Actually, hindi pala to subject-verb agreement. This is about tense. So what is our clue here? Although medyo erroneous yung pagkakakonstruct ng sentence, pero it happens all the time sa exam. So you have to bear with it. So ano kaya ang pinaka-best answer dito? Your clue is at the moment. So ibig sabihin mga kaibigan, the action is happening at the moment, meaning right now. So ano ang ating kailangan tense na gamitin? Siyempre, present progressive. At alin nga ba sa mga choices ang present progressive? Well, present meaning is, progressive meaning meeting. So the answer here is letter C. The president is meeting before the businessman at the moment. Although medyo faulty nga yung sentence na ito. Pero pag ito, mga cases natin, mga kaibigan, we just need to get the idea of it and choose the best answer na pwede natin maisip. So in here, my dear friends, letter C is meeting. So ayan. Teka lang, are we recording? Teka lang ha. Yes, we are. So, um, balik tayo doon. And then, my dear friends, I think we are now on number 5. In the statement, the moon is the brightest eye of the heavens above. What figure of speech was used? Ano nga ba ginagamit dito, mga kaibigan? Tingnan natin. Ito ba ay apostrophe? Ito ba ay simile? Ito ba ay metaphor? Or ito ba ay onomatopoeia? Let's start with onomatopoeia. When we say onomatopoeia, instead of mentioning the word itself, we mention or we utter the sound that it produces, mga kaibigan, yung tunog niya. Ang halimbawa niyan is yung pagkatok, knock, knock. Di ba? Halimbawa, yung explosion, like boom, kaboosh, mga ganyan. When we say metaphor and simile, they're actually brothers. Halos pareho sila. These are all comparisons. Yung nga lang mga kaibigan, ang simile, gumagamit siya ng words na as or like. Diba? Like, you are like an angel. Your skin is as white as snow. Mga ganyan. Ang metaphor naman, hindi gumagamit ng as or like. For example, you are my angel. Diba? Parang ganon. And of course, apostrophe is a direct address. Direct address to three things. Number one, a person who is not present. Number two, a person who is dead already. Or number three, two inanimate beings or yung mga objects or yung mga concepts or mga ideas. So in here, my dear friends, the moon is the brightest eye of the heavens above, mga kaibigan. We are comparing the moon and of course the eye of the heavens above. So in here, the answer is metaphor, letter C. Kasi hindi naman tayo gumamit ng as or ng like. So, ayan. So, I think the best answer in number 5 is really letter C, metaphor. Number 6, the Philippine Congress must pass a law that enforces the total ban on the use of cyanide fishing. So, that is letter C, on the use. Number 17, if I blank known her before, I would have hired her as my personal advisor. The answer here is had. If I had known her before, I would have hired her as my personal advisor. So letter A. Now, how about this? Number 8, ito ay lagi lumalabas sa exam to. The subject we were able to take last semester was too difficult for Jenny and blank. Is it me, myself, I, or we? Now, mga kaibigan, top choices would have to be me or I. Jenny and I nga ba, or Jenny and me? Well, we have to understand the difference between I and me. I is used as a subject and me is used as an object. It means, mga kaibigan, pag I, ikaw yung gumagawa ng action. Pag me, ikaw yung tumatanggap. And in here, marami sa atin ay nako-confuse sa I and me because sanay tayo na pag may noun na kasama ang pronoun na I or me, o pag yung noun ay may kasama na pronoun, usually I yun, like the king and I, di ba? Pero hindi. It depends on the function or the purpose of the pronoun. And in here, mga kaibigan, yung Jenny and blank ay hindi naman talaga subject. They're actually objects. Kaya nga, di ba, meron tayong preposition na for, para kay Jenny at sa blank. Kaya mga kaibigan, hindi pwedeng sabihin na Jenny and I. Dapat yan, Jenny and me. The subject we were able to take last semester was too difficult for Jenny and me. So, ayan. So, letter A po ang tamang sagot dyan. Ayan. How about number 9? Um, She blank finished writing her novel before the publishers arrive. Now, mga kaibigan, ito ay future perfect tense. There are two future actions. Yung una ay dapat magkaroon ng modal na will at yung pangalawa ay dapat nasa present tense. So yung pangalawa na nga, yung arrive. So ang hanap natin dito is yung modal na yung verb na may modal na will. May helping verb na modal na will. At ano yun mga kaibigan? Letter C. So number 9 is letter C. She will have finished writing her novel before the publishers arrive. So yun po yung format ng present ng future perfect tense. Sorry, future perfect tense. Future perfect tense. So dapat meron dalawang future actions. Number one is yung dapat meron siyang modal na will, tsaka helping verb na have. And then dapat yung pangalawang future action ay in the present tense. So number 9, letter C. I-clear ko lang ulit kasi parang hindi ko alam kung mali na sabi ko kanina. Future perfect tense ito. Okay, number 10. What do we call a poem with 14 lines and follows a specific rhyme scheme? Now, ito ay napakadali, mga kaibigan. Pag ito ay 14 lines, matik na yan, di ba? The answer here is letter C, sonnet. Okay. Now, how about number 11? What do we call a traditional Japanese poem with 3 lines with 17 syllables? This is easy as well. Haiku. Ayan. So, ang haiku ay may 17 syllables and composed siya of 3 lines. So, ano naman ang mga syllables distribution dito? Well, the first line would have 5 syllables, yung pangalawa 7, at yung pangatlo ay 5 ulit. So 5, 7, 5. Oh, ayan. Now, how about number 12? Read the following lines from the Shakespearean play Hamlet and decide which of the following emotions is most reflected. To be or not to be, that is the question. Whether it is nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune or to take arms against a sea of troubles and by opposing end them. Ito ba ay sadness? Ito ba ay wrath? Ito ba ay indecision or doubt? Well, my dear friends, pakinote natin that Hamlet is the longest, it is the lengthiest play of William Shakespeare. And the story is very similar to the story of the cartoon The Lion King, na yung tatay niya ay pinatay ng kanyang uncle and uncle took over the kingdom. Parang ganon. Actually, may mga nabasa nga ako na ang Lion King daw talaga is patterned sa story ng Hamlet. And ano nga ba yung characteristic ni Hamlet na nagpahaba ng play na ito? Well, hindi siya kasi makadecide sa kanyang totoong gustong gawin. Would he want to take vengeance or would he want just to forgive his uncle for his wrongdoings? So in here, mga kaibigan, the clear answer is letter C, indecision. O, ayan. How about number 13? The invited speaker or the invited reader speaker has a lot on his mind. He is such a loquacious speaker. The capitalized word means, well, I think ito ay lagi lumalabas itong loquacious na to, di ba? So, what are the options? We have reserved, lanky, limited, and verbose. And when we say loquacious, it means ang dami niyang sinasabi, medyo madaldal siya. And the correct answer for number 13 is, of course, letter C, verbose. Ayan. JC was confused when she saw the printout of her speech because it had slashes after some words. What should she do when seeing a double slash? Ito naman po ay nasa topic ng suprasegmentals, particularly ang juncture. Tandaan natin mga kaibigan, sa juncture, we use grammar and sometimes we use slashes to signify kung anong juncture siya o kung anong klaseng pause siya. Sa grammar, when we see the punctuation mark comma, it means slight pause. Pag period, longer pause. At yung parang symbol ng next paragraph, yun naman ay longest pause. Pero sa speech, my dear friends, sa mga naging coach na ng speech choir, I think you know this. When we say slight pause, we use a single slash. A longer pause is a double slash, and a triple slash would pertain to the longest pause. So ayan. Pero ang tanong dito mga kaibigan, ano ba ang kailangan niyang gawin? Is it A, stop the speech? B, wait for the audience reaction? C, continue the speech? Or D, pause for a full second? Well, I think in here, the most appropriate answer is letter D, pause for a full second. Because you don't stop pag double slashes, di ba? Yan. So, I think the answer here is letter D, pause for a full second. Number 15, which figure of speech was used in the second line of the given poem in number 14? Ito po ay invalid kasi wala naman pong poem na nabigay. So number 14. So we would skip this. Number 16, the prodigal son, who is the black sheep of the family, has returned home. What figure of speech was used in the given statement? Metaphor, simile, irony, or oxymoron? Well, mga kaibigan, last time we discussed kung ano ba ang metaphor at ang simile. They are both comparisons. Ang irony naman is actually a contradiction of events. To simply put it, when we say ironic, it means we are expecting event A to happen, but in the end, event B transpired. Yun po yung irony. And for this to be clear, siguro tingin ko, pakinggan mo na lang yung kanta ni Alanis Morissette na Ironic. Yung Isn't It Ironic? Don't you think? It's like raining on your wedding day. It's like a free ride when you're already paid. Parang ganyan. And oxymoron naman, mga kaibigan, is setting contradiction. But this time, when we say oxymoron or oxymoron, these are contradicting coined words. For example, sweet death, deafening silence, blinding light, yan yung mga ganyan, yung mga oxymoron. But in here, mga kaibigan, what do you think is the answer? The answer here is metaphor. Hindi naman siya gumamit ng as or like. Oh, ayan. Next, two heads are better than one means it is better for two people to think for a solution than just one person. This is a classic example of this figure of speech: simile, metaphor, synecdoche, or metonymy. Now, we discussed the simile and metaphor a while ago, so let's focus now on synecdoche and metonymy. These are both representations. And when we say synecdoche, it means we use parts to represent a particular whole. When we say metonymy, instead of mentioning the word itself, we would mention a representative of it, an important representative of it. Like, for example, when we say the pen is mightier than the sword, the pen would represent writing, that is metonymy. But when we say synecdoche, it pertains to parts. For example, 1,000 hands made the pyramids of Egypt. These are just not hands, di ba? Buong tao siya, pero we use synecdoche to signify those persons using just their hands, di ba? So, halimbawa, isa pa, 1,000 feet march the street. Ang nagmarcha sa street ay hindi na naman mga paa. Totoo, ito ay mga buong tao. But since in walking, we use our feet. So we used feet to represent the entire person. So pag parts ang ginagamit to represent the whole, then we call it synecdoche. And I think in number 17, alam niyo na ang sagot. Two heads, heads. Ulo lang ba yun o yung buong tao? Syempre buong tao. Pero since yung pag-iisip ang ating focus, important part of it would have to be the head. So number 17 is letter C, synecdoche. Okay. Now, number 18, novels of Nicholas Sparks are a big hit because they can make people feel romantic love, whether it is lost or unrequited. I think ito yung lost or requited. Selections like these can appeal to people successfully by achieving this literary standard. Ito by style, spiritual value, emotional value, or aesthetic value. Now, sa mga MET students ko, I think hindi ako nang kulang na sabihin sa inyo na i-memorize nyo dapat ang mga literary standards, ha? So ito, romantic love. Ito by style, meaning the style of the writer. Ito by spiritual value, meaning it uplifts your soul. Ito by aesthetic value, it pertains to, for example, the artistry of the work. Or ito by emotional value, yung feelings natin. Or suggestiveness. By the way, emotional value is also known as suggestiveness. Well, I guess, my dear friends, in number 18, the answer is clear. Letter C, emotional value. Next, number 19, the planets of the solar system have mythological references. They are based on what genre of mythology? Is it Greek mythology, Roman mythology, Norse mythology, or European mythology? Now, mga kaibigan, solar system, yan si Mars, Jupiter, Venus, Pluto. So it means, my dear friends, your clue is this. Venus is Roman, ang kanyang Greek is Aphrodite. And in our solar system, we don't use Aphrodite, we use Venus. So therefore, the answer is Roman mythology. Letter B. So ayan. Next, number 20. F. Srinivasa is a national artist for literature famous for many selections, like The God Stealer. In the story, the protagonist, who hails from a tribal group, brought his foreigner boss to the community. The boss is an avid collector of unique items, and he desired the old Anito of the protagonist's grandfather. Wanting to please his boss, he stole the Anito and gave it to the foreigner. This caused the heartbreaking death of the grandfather. Afterward, the grandson returned to his roots, wearing the tribal colors, and shunning away his foreigner boss. Which of the following emotions best explains the grandson's reaction? Is it A, fulfillment, B, relief, C, remorse, or D, sadness? Now, mga kaibigan, tingin ko out na agad yung fulfillment tsaka yung relief. So, top two choices would have to be remorse or sadness. Pwedeng malungkot siya kasi parang he felt na nabetray niya ang kanyang grandfather. Pero I think what he's feeling at that moment is far more than sadness. Kasi 'di ba, he shunned away his foreigner boss and then after committing that particular should I say crime na nakawin yung God at ibigay sa kanyang foreigner boss, meron siyang nakokonsensya siya, and I think that is more than sadness. So for me, the answer here is letter C, remorse. Oh, ayan. Number 21 na lagi lumalabas sa exam. Who among the Filipino writers below focuses on the beliefs and traditions during the Filipino-Spanish period? Filipino-Spanish period. Nick Joaquin, Benvenuto Santos, NVM Gonzalez, and F. Lose. Well, I think mga kaibigan, ang pinagbabasihan dito is yung novel niya na The Woman Who Had Two Navels. And the answer here is Nick Joaquin. And my dear friends, Nick Joaquin, ang pen name niya ay Keanu de Manila. Okay. Next, number 22. The lines below are taken from the poem The Spouse by Luis Dato. Read the lines and decide which best describe the role of the wife. She holds no joys beyond the day's tomorrow. She finds no world beyond his arms embrace. She looks upon the sorry. She looks upon the man behind the furrow, who is her motion, time, and space. Ito ba ay working wife, artist, businesswoman, or housewife? Clearly, mga kaibigan, nakafocus lang talaga siya sa pagmamahal niya sa kanyang asawa. Ang clue niya is she finds no world beyond his arms embrace, di ba? So mga kaibigan, obviously, siya ay isang housewife. Letter D. Okay. Number 23. We oftentimes see the phrase red letter day on calendars. The quoted phrase is an example of hyperbole, idiom, onomatopoeia, or alliteration. It is an idiom, mga kaibigan. And when we say red letter day, it is a special day. Yan, kaya siya nakapula. Special day siya. Oh, ayan. So, letter B, idiom. Number 24, linguistics. The sounds f and v are caused by a friction between the lower lip and the upper teeth. They belong to this kind of consonant sound. Is it palatal, glottal, stop, or fricative? Now, mga kaibigan, pag palatal, it means tumatama ang hangin or sometimes ang ating dila directly sa ating hard palate. Pag glottal, our mouth is quite open. H lang po ang glottal, I guess. And then ang stop naman, we hold back the air for a moment and then abruptly we release them. So kaya naman ang tama sa dito ay fricative. Now we produce friction, 'di ba? Upper teeth and lower lip. So letter D. Okay. Number 25. A poet admitted that for him to write a good piece, he must have read more than 10 books. Indeed, the poet is a blank reader. Voracious, vehement, industrious, or indulgent. This is quite easy. And I think this adjective is very common, a description for readers, which is voracious. Voracious reader, letter A. Oh, ayan. Number 26, Venus, the Roman goddess of love, has always been the symbol of feminine pulchritude. The underlined word means, dito wala pong underline, it happens sa exam mga kaibigan, so be prepared. And paano mo malalaman kung anong word ang pinapertain? Yung pinakamahirap na word doon sa sentence. Malamang yun yung may underline dapat. And in here, we have pulchritude. At ano ba ang ibig sabihin ng pulchritude mga kaibigan? Beauty. Oh, ayan. Homeliness, actually, when you say her face is homely, it means medyo ugly, parang ganyan. Plainness naman, parang hindi na siya kagandahan. So beauty is the answer here. And I think your clue is Venus, the Roman goddess of love and beauty. Oh, ayan. Number 27. What is Jose Rizal's novel that centers on Crisostomo Ibarra, whose primary wish is to educate the youth? Dalawa ang pwede natin sagot dito, ang No Limit Tangere at ang El Filibusterismo. Pero alam naman natin na pag El Filibusterismo na pinag-uusapan, hindi na siya si Ibarra, siya na si Simon, di ba? So the answer here is No Limit Tangere, letter A. So, ayan. Number 28, an ample amount of water blank needed for the city to sustain its communities is, were, are, or was. Now mga kaibigan, ang rule ng subject-verb agreement is this. Pag ang noun ay non-count, it would take a singular verb. And I think water is non-count. Kaya naman ang sagot dito ay is. Letter A, an ample amount of water is needed for the city to sustain its communities. So letter A. Next, number 29. Who is the American writer behind the naturalistic novel Red Badge of Courage? Ito yung medyo mahirap na mga tanong mga kaibigan. Very trivial kasi ito eh. Ibig sabihin talagang it's either you know it or you don't know it. Pero sino nga bang sumulat ng Red Badge of Courage? Well, Mark Twain wrote two novels, ang Huckleberry Finn at ang Tom Sawyer. At Charles Dickens naman ang sumulat ng A Christmas Carol and A Tale of Two Cities. George Orwell wrote the novels Animal Farm and the very famous 1984. And my dear friends, the correct answer is letter C, Stephen Crane. And he wrote The Red Badge of Courage. So letter C ang number 29. Now, how about number 30? What is considered as the very first masterpiece in Philippine literature in English? This is quite easy, lalo na kung kayo ay talagang babad sa pag-review. Ito ba Small Key, Footnote to Youth, Dead Stars, or My Father Goes to Court? The answer is Dead Stars by Paz Marquez Benitez. So letter C yan. Number 31, had I studied well, I blank rewarded with a tour around El Nido. Had I studied well, I would have been rewarded with a tour around El Nido. Letter B ang number 31. Next, number 32. Sturdy and strong, the Filipinos are like the Molave. O, alam natin ito mga kaibigan ha. Pero mayroon tayong bagong item dyan sa pagpipilian, yung hyperbole. Ano naman ang hyperbole? Hyperbole means exaggeration. So yan, alam natin ang simile, ang irony, ang metaphor, at saka ang hyperbole, which is exaggeration. For example, I carry the world on my shoulders. Ayan, hyperbole yan. So what's the answer here? This is very obvious kasi meron tayong word na like. So the answer here is simile, letter A. Next, number 33. When preparing ingredients, she is always careful not to hurt herself. Letter D, herself. Ayan. All of the books blank returned prior to the holiday break were, was, are, or is, mga kaibigan. Ito, books. Ito ba ay count noun or non-count noun? Ito ay count noun. Pwede mo siyang bilangin. Kaya all the books were returned prior to the holiday break. Letter A. Okay, number 35. The courage of the son who saved his father from a raging fire is worth emulating. Ito lagi dito lumalabas mga kaibigan. Emulating po ang tamang sagot dito. Next, number 36. Neither the principal nor the coordinators blank present in the event. Now, ano ba ang rule ng subject-verb agreement dito? Simple mga kaibigan, the verb must agree to the or with the closest noun. So pag may neither nor, either or, dapat ang verb mo mag-agree sa closest noun. And in this number, closest noun ay ang coordinators. Kaya naman dapat plural siya. 'Di ba? So, ang sagot dito, neither the principal nor the coordinators were present in the event. Letter A. Next, number 37. My concept of inner peace came from my mother's daily activities, which I now recall with fondness and awe. She was a full-time housewife, wholly dependent on my father's monthly salary. How she made both ends meet, it guided us in our studies, and did small acts of charity on the side was beyond me. Based on the recount, the mother's financial resources were, is it A, more than enough? B, abundant, C, non-existent, or D, limited? It is not more than enough. It is not abundant. It is not abundant. Why? Kasi nga, diba, she's making both ends meet. Pero meron naman, kaya hindi nang tamang sagot ang non-existent. The answer here is limited. Letter D. Ayan. Number 38. I am a retired public school teacher. As a teacher, I was branded as a terror in the school. The pupils dreaded the day I would enter my class. Little did they know that behind my unpopular facade was a heart full of compassion. But how did I learn this moniker? I did not tolerate dirty pupils in my class. I wanted them to know that cleanliness of the body was good for their health. I inspected their teeth, nails, footwear, handkerchiefs, clothes, ears, noses, and hair. Nako, gato rin ba kayo mga kaibigan? Anyway, based on the recount, the teacher values blank. Is it A, cleanliness, B, study, C, absence, or D, posture? This is quite easy. The answer is cleanliness, letter A. Okay. Number 39. On your vacation in Palawan, if you chance upon Arturo, please give blank my warm regards. Please give him my warm regards. Madali lang to, pronoun. Number 40, fables are stories using animals and objects as characters that are given human-like qualities. If this is the case, what or which figure of speech will be most prominent? Is it A, assonance, B, hyperbole, C, onomatopoeia, or D, personification? Well, my dear friends, meron tayong bagong nasa choices natin, yung assonance. It is a sound device. Ito ay sound device. Pero tanong dito, kung ang fables daw ay mga stories with animals, ano kayang figure of speech laging nagagamit dito? The answer here is letter D, personification. Now, what is the meaning of personification? When we say personification, it means we're giving humanly attributes to objects and animals. Ibig sabihin yung mga pantaong characteristics ay ibinibigay natin sa mga hindi naman tao, like hayop o mga bagay-bagay. For example, the carabao is smiling at me, the sky is crying, the sun is punishing me, mga ganyan. Yung po yung personification. And since fables would have animals in it, malamang-lamang, ang pinakamarami dyan ay personification. So letter D. Okay, number 41. If a story is made out of an exchange of letters, it would be called, this is quite easy, epistolaric literature. When we say epistolary or epistolaric, ito ay gawa sa mga sulat. At ang isa sa mga pinakasikat sa Pilipinas ay ang Urbana at Felisa. Yan, epistolary literature yan. Okay. Number 42. My brother and I ran into a common friend of blank in the park. Ours, us, mine, ourselves. This is quite easy. A friend of ours in the park. Letter A. Okay, number 43. Payment is due blank September 25, 2017. Now, mga kaibigan, kompleto yung date eh. So ito ay on. Payment is due on September 25, 2017. Pag year lang, in. Pag month lang, in. Pero pag kumpleto na ang date, mga kaibigan, on na yan. And in this item, kumpleto naman. May month, may day, may year. So on. Payment is due on. Letter B. Number 44, several factors must be considered in order to make a sound query, decision, change, problem, sound, decision. And the word sound is usually being linked or being used to describe decisions. So letter B, decision. Number 45, the Holy Bible contains a lot of life lessons. Specifically, it contains those that teach values. How do you call or what do you call a story that is based on the Bible, particularly the Gospels? Ito ay medyo mahirap kasi nga ito ay literature. Tale, legend, anecdote, or parable. Pero I think madali lang din to. I think we only have one obvious answer here. The answer is parable. Parables are stories from the Bible. Yan, tandaan niya na iba yan sa fable. Fable, ang fable ay fables are stories na may animals as characters. Ang parable, stories from the Bible. So letter D, parable. Number 46, we admire blank when Hannah speaks Mandarin fluently in front of blank. We admire her when Hannah speaks Mandarin fluently in front of us. Yan. So yun yung tamang sagot. Her and then us. Letter C. Yan. We admire her when Hannah. Kasi Hannah, I assume, babae siguro si Hannah. Although ngayon talagang meron tayong uh, I think iba na ang ating mga pronouns ngayon. Pero in the exam, I think we should stick with the traditional way of doing it, di ba? So I will assume, although it is wrong to assume a person's gender, pero for the sake of the exam, I'm assuming that Hannah is a woman. So her yan. And then us. So letter C. Number 47, because of profanity, the program was suspended from television. The capitalized word lang yan best relates to this word. Obscenity, history, decency, and metaphor. Ito pwede mong gawin yung turo ng Sir Noy sa atin. Yung positive, positive, negative, positive. Parang ganyan. Metaphor, parang out of the question naman yan. Pero sige, gawat yung plus yan. Decency plus, history plus, obscenity minus. So I think in here, clearly the answer is letter A, obscenity. Next, number 48. The Philippines blanked the ASEAN Integration Agreement in 2008 before Timor-Leste blanked for inclusion in the region sometime in 2011. Ang sagot dito ay, the Philippines had signed the ASEAN Integration Agreement in 2008 before Timor-Leste applied for inclusion in the region sometime in 2011. So ito ay past perfect tense. So had signed and applied. So letter A. Ayan. Number 49. Comprehend the following text. Filipinos love eating, regardless of the type of food they enjoy, such as Korean cuisines, Chinese delicacies, American staple food, even those from Israel. Although this is faulty kasi wala siyang parallelism. But I think that is the point of the question. So let's try to answer it. What are the adjectives in the sentence? Is it A, Korean, Chinese, American, Israel? B, Korean, American, Israel. C, Korean, Chinese, Israel. Or D, Korean, Chinese, American. Well, Korean cuisine, Chinese delicacies, and American staple food. So Korean, Chinese, and American. Letter D. Ayan. And last number for this segment, we will continue with segment number 2. Number 50. Though nothing can bring back the hour of splendor in the grass, of glory in the flower, we will grieve not, rather find strength in what remains behind. The stanza expresses blank. Is it grief? Is it hope? Is it loss? Or is it despair? Now, I think, my dear friends, marami tayo ditong mga clues. Sabi dyan, we will grieve not, rather find strength in what remains behind. So I think this, it would express hope, letter B. So ayan yun po yung first 50. Ibig sabihin yung first 7 po natin ito. And watch out po for the second segment. I think nasa playlist yan. So hanapin nyo lang po yung segment number 2. So in the meantime, tapos na po ang segment number 1.